Why, hello there, young traveler. Want a drink? Where have you came from on this fine evening? Ah, the streaming service Max, you say? Fine choice. Did you perhaps watch Fionna and Cake? Amazing! Have you seen any episodes of Adventure Time, however? Oh. Well, I can't let you experience a show like this now, can we? Hello everybody, my name is Maher Muhammad, and I'm gonna need you to sit down because we got a lot of explaining to do. Originally, I was planning on this being sort of a prologue of sorts. Did you'd watch this before watching the main show to get yourself properly ready. But as I was making this, I realized that watching this before watching the main show is just a gateway into spoilers, particularly in the final 3 episodes of the show. So instead, I would recommend that anyone who watches this should watch this after watching the main show, or maybe you come back per specific episode when you finish that specific one. I have timestamps for a reason. Now, the main idea of what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go episode by episode and point out specific characters or plot details that probably wouldn't make sense unless you've seen Adventure Time, or if you need a quick refresher. This will not be a plot summary, nor is it a substitute for the show. Think of it more as an appetizer, if you will. And this isn't one of those explaining every single Adventure Time reference in Fionna and Cake type of things. So there's a chance that I will miss a few things, and that's okay. This is more so me trying to explain the things that I think you will actually notice if you're just casually watching the show and you're just like, hey, what does that mean? I'm pretty sure the show does give context for certain things, but I think this more is a more in-depth way of explaining it. But yeah, there is a chance I will miss a few things, and that's okay. This isn't me trying to explain every single possible reference that Adventure Time had in the show. So you don't expect me to point at the floor and say how this floor from episode 3 is from episode 7, season 2 of Adventure Time. But with all that out of the way, strap in, grab your magical crown, and come along with me. First things first, in Adventure Time there are 5 episodes made that took place in a gender-bent version of Ooh. These were fanfictions created by the Ice King. However, this episode itself doesn't really need much explanation due to the fact that these are separate from the Adventure Time episodes. Instead of a magical world, we are instead in a pseudo modern day type world, with Fionna going job to job to pay the bills. I could mention how each character you see is a gender-bent version of their Adventure Time counterparts, but I'm hoping that someone going into the show blind can at least tell that this is the boy version of LSP. So let's move on. Simon Petrikov is the Ice King, or was the Ice King. A long time ago, he found the magical crown while researching, not realizing that the crown is cursed. Its original purpose was to grant the wish to whoever wore it, but a green dude named Gunther used it years ago to become his mentor, Evergreen, who had ice powers. And for some reason, the crown's wish was never reset, so whoever wears it gains the powers of Evergreen in a bit of insanity. Simon was able to use his powers to protect a young Marceline during the Mushroom War. The Mushroom War was an event that happened years before Adventure Time took place, and is why the world is weird and silly. Eventually, Simon had to leave Marceline due to the crown's powers making him more and more insane. He would then forget who he was and live on for another 1,000 years as the Ice King. Betty was Simon's old girlfriend who he scared away after the crown made him insane. In a season 5 episode where Ice King temporarily became Simon again, he creates a portal to apologize to Betty before she goes through the portal into Ooh. She then dedicates the rest of her life to try and find a way to reverse the effects of the crown on Ice King. In the final episode of Adventure Time, Ice King, Finn, and Betty got eaten by Gulb, the embodiment of chaos. While inside his stomach, the crown's powers were magically reset, allowing Simon to become normal again. Betty uses the newly reset crown to wish for Simon to be safe. This fused her with Gulb, and she has disappeared since. This episode and show takes place years after that episode. Also, the ritual that Simon does in this episode is something that Betty did a few times as well. This is mostly a solo adventure, so there isn't much to explain besides how some of these characters appeared in past episodes. But even then, you don't really need to know who these characters are to properly understand it. Now we do see Prismo, though I'm going to talk about him in the next episode. Speaking of, Prismo is a Wishmaster. He controls the multiverse and allows anyone to make a wish if they come to him, usually creating another universe in the process. He is in a depressive slump in this episode due to not being over Jake the dog's death, who, while he didn't die in Adventure Time, we did get an entire special about it in the Max original Adventure Time Distant Lands. This is also why Finn has a Jake tattoo. This episode actually explains a lot of Simon's backstory, and even offers a reason as to why Fionna and Cake exist, which I won't spoil because this is not meant to be a summary of the episode, but I will say, it's pretty good all things considered. The universe in which our trio goes to is a pre-established universe, in which we meet an adult Finn known as Farmworld Finn. Farmworld is a world that Finn wished for in the original show, his wish being that the Mushroom War never happened due to Simon sacrificing himself to stop the bombs from dropping. In the episode, you hear people talking about magic and how the snowman hasn't been around for years. This is relating to Farmworld Finn, who in the original show had found the crown and it turned him insane like the Ice King did, until Prismo helped him at the end of the episode. This is why he's angered when the trio ask if he has seen the crown.
You're a damn fool!
This episode features an alternate world that is not connected to Adventure Time. While the main plot is nothing I could talk about, the subplot does, in which Genderbend, Bubblegum, and Marceline, named Gary and Marshall Lee here, hang out. By the end of the original show, Bubblegum and Marceline became a couple. This episode also features Gary and Marshall falling in love. Good for them. The only other thing I can mention is how Gary's story about a slumber party at the end of the episode is the exact same plot as the first episode of Adventure Time. I find that neat. This alternate universe is in a timeline in which Simon died before meeting little Marceline, and such couldn't guide her, causing her to fall into the wrong crowd and become evil, serving for the Vampire King, aka her dad, as the star, in the world ruled by vampires. Greg is Finn's dad. However, unlike Adventure Time in which Greg was a deadbeat criminal, here Greg is actually nice and wants to protect people. I'm sure he'll live a long and healthy life. This and episode 9 feature character twists which might be considered a spoiler. So while I already mentioned this, if you are still here and you haven't seen Fionna and Cake, go watch the show and then come back. This is a huge spoiler, and consider this your final warning. Jerry, aka the Lich, was a huge threat in Adventure Time. Being an antagonist who was created due to the bombs from the Mushroom War, he wanted nothing more than to wipe out everything. The world that the trio goes to is a universe that the Lich wished for, in which his plan was successful, which is why everyone in that universe is gone. Not sure how Bima lives though.
Ooh, butt stuff.
This episode has a subplot that takes place in the far, far future with the characters Shermie and Beth. They appeared in the Adventure Time finale. We also see Golbetty, and the reason that prevents Simon from putting on the crown is because of her wish to keep Simon safe. We talked about this in episode 2. This is the finale, so there isn't really much to say considering the fact this is mostly disconnected from Adventure Time. Though this and the last episode did switch its title cards to being in the Adventure Time style, which was pretty cool. And that is all the extra context that you didn't know if you went into the show blind. Keep in mind this shouldn't be seen as a replacement for the OG episodes, Fionna and Cake or Adventure Time. That's why I included episode names if you want to watch it originally. But if this was your first time or you needed to waste 7 minutes, then I hope I did my job properly. So, now that you've experienced the best humanity has to offer, what's your plan now? I'm not watching that show!